New Mexico has one of the highest proportions of English learner students in the United States. The majority of these students are Hispanic and speak primarily Spanish at home. Research has shown that students who do not attain English proficiency by middle school are more likely to drop out or fail to graduate high school, limiting their options in work and in life. The New Mexico Achievement Gap Research Alliance, a group of New Mexico educators and policymakers, identified the need for this work. In partnership with Regional Educational Laboratory Southwest, they determined that in order to better serve their state's Spanish-speaking English learners, it was necessary to gain a deeper understanding of their paths to English and academic proficiency.
New Mexico is a very big supporter of bilingual education, and they always have been. The only thing is there weren't a lot of data out there to understand how well these students were doing over time. We had a group of Alliance members that we worked with to identify areas of high need. There was some anecdotal evidence that some of them said, we think some of our English learner students, especially those in bilingual programs, that they're outperforming other kinds of English learner students. Can you help us understand this? They were very curious about that relationship between English and Spanish development over time.
We are very excited about the research that we've been able to do with the REL because we are extremely committed to dual language programming within our state. But we have never had anything within the state of New Mexico to really look at our programming.
And that's what this study did, is it took two groups of kindergartners that started in either 2009-10 or 2010-11, and we studied them through grades 4 and 5 to understand how long it took them to reach English proficiency and how did they look on academic achievement outcomes compared to other students in the state, measured through state standardized assessments on reading and math. So one thing that the study did find was that there were differences that emerged according to initial Spanish proficiency. So what we found was generally students with high Spanish proficiency in kindergarten, they were more likely than students with low or medium levels of Spanish proficiency to achieve that English fluent proficient status. Another thing we found was that students with high Spanish proficiency were also more likely to score higher on those standardized academic achievement outcomes in grades 4 and 5 in both reading and math. So there were some implications related to what level of Spanish did you walk in the door with, and how did that translate perhaps into learning English. And the takeaway that we find from that really is that parents should really embrace their home language, Spanish in this case, and that the focus should be on bringing in all different types of literacy into the home in their home language in Spanish. So parents should be talking to their kids in Spanish. They should be watching TV with them in Spanish, asking them questions about what they're seeing and hearing in Spanish. Taking them to the library, seeing things around in their world around them and having conversations, asking them questions. Do what you can to encourage that Spanish language development in the home.
We have been testing our students for English language proficiency, Spanish language proficiency for years, but how are we looking at those two data points critically to help build our program?
A takeaway from this is having teachers and districts think about how to use that initial Spanish assessment data. Schools already have that data. How can we use that to provide supports for students earlier? This data could serve as potentially an early warning indicator of future performance of these students. So using that additional piece of data to say, all right, this student came in with low levels of initial Spanish proficiency or medium levels of Spanish proficiency. We better get them the extra supports to make sure that we can catch them up by grades 4 and 5. So I think another way in which this research is very relevant to this state is New Mexico has set forth their plan for English learner students in their Every Student Succeeds Act, which was some very ambitious goals in terms of demonstrating grade level readiness in grades 4 and 5 English learners. New Mexico has set some goals. By 2022, they would like 51% of their English learners to be demonstrating grade level readiness in English language arts, and then they would like another 50% of English learner students to be demonstrating grade level readiness in math. In order to help English learner students meet these goals by 2022, the New Mexico Public Education Department has proposed a number of student support measures, including a systematic improvement plan, a student assistance team. They've also proposed a number of measures related to parent and family engagement.
Everybody within the state will be able to use this, whether they be policymakers, university faculty, schools, school district superintendents, professional development providers. This is something that we have needed for a very long time.